Learning to play the violin or fiddle can be a rewarding experience. But let's face it, musical instruments cost a lot of money, and, well, what if the student player loses interest? Recently, Teresa Bush met a man with a solution to that problem. The solution is what he calls a starter fiddle.
Well, I first started out making toy guitars and banjos just for children. A friend of mine saw these little guitars. He asked me, he said, "Do you think you could make a fiddle?" Not a real one. He said, "No," said they're starter fiddles. I thought, if anybody else can do it, why can't I?
With that bit of confidence, Doug Cooper set out on a new venture to make these so-called starter fiddles in a town that's known for fiddle playing, Smithville, Tennessee. He loves to work with his hands, and he also likes to make something that just about anybody can afford.
I only get $80 a piece for these, and I'm trying to stay in that price range. There are some people that can't afford to go out and pay $125, $130, or maybe even more than that. And then the child decides, "Hey, I don't really want to do this anymore." And you've only got $80 tied up in it.
You might be thinking, just what is a starter fiddle? Well, they are smaller than standard fiddles or violin, but the main difference is the sound.
I use some plywood, and you get a little richer sound out of that. Of course, the object of a starter fiddle for a child is to be able to send them back to their room to practice, and it doesn't run mom and dad crazy.
You noticed on the high positions up there, it's still got good tonal quality up there.
Yeah.
We asked Glenn Carpenter of Watertown to test one of Doug's instruments. Glenn's been playing the fiddle for years.
This is so much like a real high-dollar, expensive fiddle that makes it easier to play.
Doug has heard those words of encouragement before, and they're definitely music to his ears, because Doug can't test his own fiddles.
Well, as far as music is concerned, I sing, and I also write, but I don't play. And of course, people say, "Well, how do you build a fiddle?" And I just pay attention to detail.
He says it all begins with a pattern. That's something Doug learned when he worked in the Ford glass plant in Nashville.
I had two real good friends that were machinists, and they taught me a great deal, and they taught me about patterns. I use what is known as a flop template for the body of the violin or fiddle. That way you get the symmetry from one side to the other. Then they're cut together, the back and the front are cut together, so you have the same thing on both of them, so they'll look just exactly alike.
Let's talk a little bit about woodwork in general. How did you come about having those skills?
I guess it was inherited. My dad could make just about anything. He worked a blacksmith shop. He only had an 8th grade education, but you couldn't beat him in a shop, blacksmith or woodworking. He made a table for my little sister for Christmas one year, and it looked like one that you would buy out of a store because he was that good. I probably got underfoot a whole lot. He was very obsessive about putting his tools right back where he got them. And he'd say, "You've been in my shop again. What were you doing?" And because he had noticed, I thought I put it right back where he had it. Not so. He knew when I moved it.
Doug has the art of starter fiddle making down to a science now. He says it takes about 8 to 10 hours to make each one. And as you can see from his shop, he does it in stages.
And now I'm going over to the drill press. That makes it look like a fiddle that has an F-hole.
And the result? The cutest little fiddles you've ever seen. Doug says the choices are as endless as your imagination.
Doug takes a great deal of pride in every instrument that he makes, so much so he burns his name inside there on the neck, and he also numbers every one of them so that no matter who gets one of these, even if it's years and years from now, they'll know who made it.
So the only question remaining is, when will Doug make a starter fiddle for himself and learn to play? Soon, he says, very soon. And his friend Glenn has offered to teach him everything he knows about fiddle playing. Until then, Doug says he'll be happy helping others get started with one of his starter fiddles.
That's a good playing fiddle there you got, Doug.